It's been another impossible week here in Israel. A week filled with unbearable pain, loss, heartbreak, but somehow amidst the darkness, the strength and resilience and values of our people seem to emerge like a glimmer of light shining through the storm. This past week, we lost Rabbi Avi Goldberg, a 47-year-old father of 8. Now, by all accounts, he was clearly an extraordinary person. However, his family's request during the Shiva, I think, speaks volumes about his character. They sent a message out welcoming any Knesset members who wish to pay their respects, but on one condition. They have to come in pairs, one from the government and one from the opposition. In life, Avi clearly exemplified tolerance, love, and respect for others. But now in his passing, his father honors that his family honor his legacy in the way that he would have wanted. There's something deeply profound about this. And in many ways, there couldn't be a better Parsha than Noach that illustrates this powerful message. If we look at the beginning of the book of Genesis, we find it presents its humanity in its most raw, unfiltered form. In many ways, it exposes both the virtues of humanity and also the dangers. But there are two pivotal narratives that I think bookend this week's Parsha. One is at the end of last week's Parsha, and it appears just before God decides to destroy humanity in the generation of Noach. And then at the end of this week's Parsha, we encounter the famous story of the Tower of Babel. Each story reflects the dangers within the human condition, the danger of hubris, the complex idea of identity and responsibility. And I want to begin with the first passage that comes at the beginning of Sefer Bereshit, Genesis chapter 6, 1-4. There we hear a strange story about the sons of God who are driven by some form of desire and forcibly take the daughters of Adam simply because they look good. It seems to be a story about unchecked power, this kind of God complex that is a part of human nature. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as we know the saying goes. Nietzsche in the 19th century warned us that when humanity pushes God aside, when God is dead, so to speak, inevitably humans will seek to become gods themselves. And the Bible saw and noticed this danger long before Nietzsche already warned us about it. It warns us, Sefer Bereshit, about the dangers of being created in the image of God. These sons of God who see the women of Adam as objects, as things to possess, that is where the danger is. In many ways, it's exactly as Martin Buber says to us. There are two forms of relationship: when we see the other as an it, an I-it, or when we see the other as a thou, I-thou. I-it relationship is about dominance, not mutuality. It's about control, not about covenant. And what is the result? The result of an I-it relationship is a society that is marred by corruption, by depravity. Humanity forgets that being created in God's image carries a responsibility, and that responsibility is to see and protect the divine image in others. The generation, therefore, must tragically be destroyed. The second narrative, the Tower of Babel, unfolds at the end of our Parsha. And here we encounter a subtler form of hubris. The story is less explicit, more enigmatic. God's anger is slightly more muted. It requires us to dig deep and understand the narrative in a deeper way. So on the surface, the building of Babel appears to be a project of unity and creativity. The people come together, they work together, they seem to be fulfilling God's command at the beginning of Sefer Bereshit to rule over the world, to innovate, to create. But in verses Gimel and Dalet 3 and 4, something changes. So if we look at verse 3, V'yomer ish el re'ehu, haven nilbana levanim v'nisrafa lesreifa v'tihi lahem halvena la'even v'achem haya lahem nachome. First and foremost, note, even within the verses themselves, there is a deep message. Words repeat themselves again and again and again. There seems to be a uniformity even in the language of the narrative itself. But if we look at what the verse is saying, it says, V'yomer ish el re'ehu, each man says to their friend, to his friend, Haven nilbana levanim, come, let us build, etc., etc. And we're going to fire, and we're going to create fire, and we're going to create bricks, and we're going to build a tower. In the very next verse, it begins as follows. It almost parallels verse 3. V'yomru, and each man says to the other, there is no re'ehu, there is no friend anymore. Come, let us build a city, umigdol v'rosho b'shamayim, and a tower with its head in heaven. V'naseh lanu, this generic us, we will make for us a generic name. In case we are scattered along the face of the earth. There is a play here with the words face and head. So what's happened between verses 3 and 4? The Re'ehu, the friend, the unique individual, the person I see face to face has been swallowed by an idealized order, replaced by a collective generic name. They've lost their individuality, their personhood that is in God's image. They become parts of a vision almost imposed from above. They aim to build the tower with its kind of head in heaven. Now, if we think about it, when we look down from above, all heads seem the same. They're almost indistinguishable one from the other. And this image of humanity is one of uniformity, this kind of Platonic image where individual distinctions dissolve into one form. In this attempt to reach the heavens, humanity has lost the ground below, has lost the ground beneath its feet. But God intervenes, scatters humanity across the face of the earth. Another word that repeats itself, panei, panim, face. When we look down from above, we see everyone the same. But when we look into the face of the other, we see the distinctiveness of each and every human being created in God's image, but also created in their image. Different. The philosopher Levinas famously teaches us that the face is the foundation of morality. In the particularity of the other, that is where we are called to act morally. Difference, essence, spirit, these are reflected in the unique space. So God, in scattering humanity, effectively gives us back our faces. We are scattered across the face of the earth. Earth, which is generic, is given a face. If the earth has a face, how much more so do human beings? It's true, unity doesn't arise from sameness. We have to build unity from diversity. This is a profound protest against any form of utopianism in a way that negates individuality, that sacrifices the beauty of difference on the altar of a promise of universal sameness. God doesn't destroy humanity this time. Instead, he scatters them. He mixes their language. He imposes diversity, and he gives us a new opportunity to understand and respect one another. The people are not able to fulfill that. They do not carry on. And the yuzma, the initiative that they start, is destroyed. The message, however, is clear for us and for every generation that reads it. Unity does not mean uniformity. It means the commitment to respect the differences while recognizing that we are all created in the image of God and we are bound by a shared purpose. This is a message that challenges us today, both in the liberal West and through religious fundamentalism, two sides in some ways of the same coin, suggests that unity requires us to think and look and believe the same thing. But our story here tells us that unity can and almost must be reached without erasing the beauty, the richness of our particularity, of our diversity. Following on from Bavel, literally on the heels of Bavel, we are introduced to the father of our nation, Avraham HaIvri. Rabbi Sachs, in his book, The Dignity of Difference, says that Avraham is brought into the world to teach the world the dignity of difference. The very term Ivri comes from the word me'ever, the other side. Throughout history, the Jewish people have been defined as the other, and often we suffer because of this distinct identity. We have been persecuted for being the other, but it is actually precisely in the otherness that our strength lies, and we are here to teach the world that true unity respects the uniqueness of every individual. We have still a long way to go here in Israel, coming on the heels of what happened before 710, where there was very severe polarization. However, the last year has shown us that it is possible. If we look at the stories, if we look at what's going on the grassroots, not in politics, but actually within the people, we are seeing that it is possible to create unity without uniformity. If we are able to demonstrate humility instead of hubris, we recognize and we can recognize that we can grow through relationship with those who are different from us. Then true unity will happen. Now more than ever, we need to share this vision, to show others that it is possible. To go back to Rabbi Avi Goldberg, I've read in 2 or 3 different stories how his love, his smile, his embrace of the other created deep relationships between him and people that were very, very different to him. He is the kind of person that we need today, that kind of philosophy, that kind of look on life. So let us strive for a world where we see each person as a thou rather than an it, where we cherish the diversity, not as a threat, but as a gift. Because in a world that values unity without uniformity, we will come closer to embodying the true vision of humanity, that we are created in God's image, but at the same time that each of us is unique and has something to give to the world in their uniqueness. Wishing you all Shabbat Shalom and Besorot Tovot. It should only be good news and good things.